Welcome to Into the Words, a podcast from the Highlights Foundation Retreat Center. Today in the cabin is our dear friend, Melissa Wyatt. Hello.
Hi.
Melissa, thank you for coming, for talking to us. You're here this week with the Whole Novel Workshop. Talk to me a little bit about what you're doing with the Whole Novel students and how you're interacting with them.
What I do is I feel like I provide a little extra support when they need it. If they need someone that they can come to for some writing prompts or to talk out a story idea or a story problem. And then in the mornings, of course, we do our morning exercises.
Yeah, and tell me a little bit. After breakfast, you're starting every morning with some sort of writing exercise.
Yes.
And I listened in on a couple of them this week. But how do you choose your writing exercises?
I'm looking for because for me, I hate writing exercises, it was so funny when Sarah Aronson came to me and asked me to think about doing something like this. And I thought, I'm actually the perfect person to do this because I understand that resistance to writing things that are outside the book. So in the morning exercises, what I'm trying to do is not just get their minds going, get that writing mind in gear, but to also get them to understand that there's so much value in writing things that will help you understand the book that may not necessarily end up in the book. None of that writing is wasted. It helps support your ideas and it gives you confidence to move forward.
And so the other piece you talked about was if you don't like this writing prompt, don't do it.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about giving permission for...
Yeah, you see that a lot of times when there's so many craft books and craft blogs out there for writers, and so many of them are a little dictatorial, where it's like, you must do this and never do that. And I think a lot of writers at every stage of their writing journey are sometimes derailed by those things. And the last thing I want to do is derail somebody because I've been derailed so many times myself, and it's frustrating. So you have to learn to listen to that inner voice that says, no, this is not going to help me. Maybe I can use it later on down the road, but right now, for this story, I have to protect what I'm doing. So I respect that, and I want to make sure that everyone we're working with respects it too.
You have a deck of cards that you were showing me at lunch yesterday. Talk to me a little bit about what they are and how they're organized, how you think about them.
It started as a kind of a joke. I was telling somebody, I have too many exercises. We only have 5 mornings a week. And so I don't have enough time for all of them. And he said, well, just make a deck of cards and deal them out. So it's dangerous to suggest things to me because I will do them. So I made this deck, and they're organized in terms of the sort of thing you're trying to do in the story, whether it's a deep dive into the theme and the plot, or whether it's a character development, or whether it's a revision technique. I've tailored them for the whole novel workshop because those are the sorts of things that the writers here are working on.
Okay, so do you have one example you could give of a writing exercise?
Let me get my deck. Well, let's see if we can find a good one. Right. So the way it works, because everybody tells me when the writers come to me, they want all the cards. Like, just give me all of them. I say, no, I can't do that. It's overwhelming. It's too many. So I will say, tell me what you're looking for. And then I can go through the cards and I can find an exercise that's tailored to that specific thing that they're trying to solve. So this is a good one. Do you want to read it?
Sure. Okay. Is your character confrontational or non-confrontational? Write a scene where they are compelled to act in the opposite way. How did it make them feel?
Because sometimes we get locked into seeing our characters in one specific way. So sometimes it's extremely useful So if somebody came to me and they're like, I just can't, this is just the way he is, and I don't understand why this won't work. And sometimes it's useful to turn things around on the character and see if there isn't something in there that you're missing, that you are overlooking, that the character wants to tell you. A lot of these exercises are about getting the writer to back up and let go and let the character tell them what's going on.
Great. How did you come up with your exercises?
I've just collected them over time.
Okay.
And they're because of all of the problems that I've had. Some of them are suggestions that friends have made to me. You got to love your writer friends and listen to what they say. And just, over the years, things that I've found helpful. When I sat down to work on the deck, they all came out.
And that's a great segue. Tell me a little bit about you and your writing practice.
Boy, I wish I had a routine. I really admire writers who can get up, like the ones who get up at 4 a.m. before breakfast, and they write for 2 hours, and then they go have breakfast, and they check like just 4 emails, and then they go back and write again. I find I write in spurts, and when the story's going well, I can just go, go, go. So I try not to interrupt that, but I'm not disciplined. I wish I was.
So you don't, it's not every day, it's not at a certain
Yeah,
time.
and that's one of the other things you'll hear all the time. You must write every day. I think if your head's in the game every day, that writing isn't always sitting at the computer. It doesn't always look like somebody industriously typing away. Sometimes it's, when you're standing at the sink and your mind just goes while you're washing the dishes, you're writing. You're writing then. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. Let's see. One of the things we work on and talk about a lot at the Highlights Foundation is mentorship. And I wonder this week, this whole novel is certainly all about mentorship. Do you have any thoughts of either having mentored someone or having been mentored and how that's helped you in your writing?
Well, I have been mentored by our Amanda Jenkins, who's here this week. I wouldn't have been published if it wasn't for Amanda. And writing is such a solitary thing. And you sometimes feel, especially if you don't have other writers around you in your community, you sometimes feel like, maybe you're a little crazy with the things you're thinking and doing. And I met Amanda online, and we've had a back and forth email for years where it's someone I know I can go to who understands the language I'm speaking. So I can just throw her an idea and I don't have to set anything up, and she'll come back with tons of ideas. And of course, in the bad times too, when you're stuck and the things seem hopeless, she'll find a way to redirect me. And that's invaluable.
Yeah, that's powerful. Well, last question before we head back to the barn. It takes a lot of books, and a great writer needs to be a great reader. I wonder, is there any book that you're currently reading that you've read recently or looking forward to reading that you might recommend?
I am waiting on tenterhooks for the last book in Megan Whalen Turner's Queen's Thief series. That started with The Thief, which was a Newbery Honor Medal, and there were 3 more books, and now the last in the series is coming out sometime in the coming winter. She takes her time, which we appreciate because they're complex books. So yeah, that's the one I want.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Well, thank you, Melissa, for joining us on Into the Words at the Highlights Foundation Retreat Center. The Highlights Foundation is dedicated to continuing our 35-year history of providing the space, the conversations, and the nurturing that goes into making great stories for children. But thank you for all you do in your writing for children and support of the belief that children are the world's most important people.
Yeah, that's very true. And thank you to Highlights.